based on reliable narrators. On the other hand, unreliable narrators lead to comparatively more unreliable results. Now let's move on to the multiple isnad. In this theory, it means a chain of transmission formed by multiple narrations. If in a chain of isnad all the narrations have more than two narrators, then this chain means multiple isnad. Let's look at an example. Here you see in this schema a multiple isnad chain. Here's the source, and from source we have three narrators, and from this narrator we have still three narrators, and from this narrator we have three narrators. Every narration in this isnad is multiple, is triple, and it could be four narrator in some narrations. At least every narration should have more than two narrator. But as an example, I made it a triple narrations, a triple isnad. If there is not any double isnad in the system of transmission of hadith, therefore this means that there is not any triple chain of transmission. Now let's look at the table here. In the table, results for the above mentioned isnad are calculated with regard to the probable status of narrators, ranging from the weakest reliability coefficient to the strongest. As it can clearly be seen from the table, such type of isnad has a structure which is far from being feeble, so much so that when the reliability coefficient of the narrations is reduced until 50% by 10% each time, the reliability that the relevant narration belongs to the source which it is attributed still seems to be very high. Thus, the quality and efficiency of a mutawatir is presented numerically with regard to the probability of narrations theory. Nevertheless, it is almost impossible to encounter such a kind of isnad in the hadith literature. However, there are multi-stranded combined isnads which are expected to substitute mutawatir chains of narrations that we will focus on in the following sections. As it can clearly be seen from the graphic, the curve indicating the probability that the narration belongs to the source which it is attributed extends below straight line of the reliability coefficient of the relevant narrators in the first quadrant, whereas it extends above the straight line in the remaining 3/4. Therefore, narrations which are transmitted by such types of isnad channels would most likely to belong to the source to which they are attributed, unless the reliability levels of the relevant narrators are very low. Now let's move on to the combined isnad. In hadith literature we will see the combined isnad. You cannot find double isnad, purely double isnad in hadith literature, and you cannot find purely triple isnad in hadith literature, but you can find combined isnad in hadith literature. In this theory, combined isnad, it means combined chain of transmission formed by the combination of single, double and multiple narrations. Combined isnad types: single-stranded. Combined isnad can be single-stranded and can be double-stranded and can be multi-stranded. Single-stranded combined isnad, it means a combined isnad based on a single channel of chain of transmission. Single-stranded combined isnad types originated from a single narration, originated from a double narration, originated from a multiple narration. Single-stranded originated from a single narration combined isnad types, in which a single narration is similarly followed by a single narration, in which a single narration is followed by a double narration, in which a single narration is followed by a multiple narration. Single-stranded combined isnad, in which a single narration is similarly followed by a single narration. In this schema, you can see it begins with single narration and then follows it a single narration again. In the table, results for the above-mentioned isnad are calculated with regard to the probable status of narrators, ranging from the weakest reliability coefficient to the strongest. As it can clearly be seen from the table, the probability that the narration belongs to the source to which it is attributed still remains below 50%, although the reliability coefficient of narrators reaches to a level of 70%. One can easily observe a structure very similar to the parabolic structure observed in the single isnad above, for we chains of transmission of single isnad also have a single-stranded structure of chain. This similarity can easily be seen in the graphic presented below. The only difference of this type of isnad from the single isnad is that the second narrator is followed by multiple narrations instead of a single narration. This situation leads to a relative improvement in the curve, indicating the probability that the relevant narration belongs to the source to which it is attributed. However, this improvement is not a significant one, and in fact it has not reached a sufficient level to affect the result, for the structure of the isnad above still seems to be very feeble. Now, single-stranded combined isnad, in which a single narration is followed by a double narration. You can see at the beginning single narration and it followed by a double narration. In the table presented, the results for the above-mentioned isnad are calculated with regard to the probable status of narrators, ranging from the weakest reliability coefficient to the strongest. It seems that the result is significantly affected when a single narration is followed by a double narration. It is seen that the parabolic structure observed in the preceding type of isnad is a little more improved. When the table is examined, it can easily be seen that the probability that the narration belongs to the source to which it is attributed exceeds 50% level when the reliability coefficient of the relevant narrators is above 60%. This improvement can clearly be observed in the graphic presented below. It is seen that the curve indicating the probability that the narration belongs to the source which it is attributed has significantly improved compared to the precedent type of isnad, and it has come close to the straight line indicating the reliability coefficient of narrators. This improvement is more significant in particular in cases where the reliability coefficient of narrators reaches to a level above 60%. Now, single-stranded combined isnad, in which a single narration is followed by a multiple narration. You can see at the first step there is single narration from the source, and from him there is multiple narration. In the table presented, the results are calculated progressively in stages with regard to the probable status of narrators, ranging from the weakest reliability coefficient to the strongest. When the table is examined, it can easily be observed that the structure this type of isnads give almost a linear response for reliability coefficients of narrators above 50%. However, the system is still relatively parabolic for values below 50%. This situation can clearly be observed in the graphic presented below. In the graphic, it is seen that the curve indicating the probability that the narration belongs to the source which it is attributed follows almost a linear path for values above 50%. Now, single-stranded originated from a double narration combined isnad. There is a double narration at the first step and then a single narration. In the table presented, the results are calculated progressively in stages with regard to the probable status of narrators, ranging from the weakest reliability coefficient to the strongest. When we compare a single-stranded combined isnad that was originated from a double narration with a single-stranded combined isnad in which a single narration is similarly followed by a single narration, we reach to the following result. The result is partially improved when the isnad was originated from a double narration, although it depends on a single narrator. This premise is supported by the results illustrated in the table. When the table is examined, it can clearly be seen that the results illustrated in this table are significantly different from those illustrated in the other. Let's move on to the single-stranded originated from a multiple narration combined isnad. In the table, the results are calculated progressively in stages with regard to the probable status of narrators, ranging from the weakest reliability coefficient to the strongest. The improvement in the probability that the relevant narration belongs to the source to which it is attributed is more significant in this type of isnad. If a narrator declares that he heard the narration from more than one person, but not from a single person, then it is observed that this declaration significantly affects the results. This impact is more significant in particular in cases where the reliability coefficient of narrators is above average. This improvement can clearly be observed in the graphic presented below. It is observed that the curve indicating the probability that the narration belongs to the source which it is attributed follows a linear path on the second half of the straight line indicating the probability, the reliability coefficient of narrators, whereas it follows a parabolic path at a certain scale in the first half. In the graphics illustrating single-stranded isnads, the point that attracts attention is the fact that the curve indicating the probability that the narration belongs to the source which it is attributed continuously extends below the straight line indicating the reliability coefficient of narrators and follows a parabolic path, in particular in cases where the reliability coefficients are low. Now, double-stranded combined isnad. In this theory, it means a combined isnad based on a double channel of chain of transmission. Double-stranded combined isnad types originated from a double narration, originated from a multiple narration. Double-stranded originated from a double narration combined isnad. Here is the double narration at the first step, and this is a combined isnad. There is double-stranded. Strand means beginning from the source, and that line should not be die till the end. For example, this line does not die till the end, and this line does not die till the end. This is double-stranded, originated from a double narration combined isnad. In the table presented here, the results are calculated progressively in stages with regard to the probable status of narrators, ranging from the weakest reliability coefficient to the strongest. We encounter a table which is very similar to the one we see in the double isnad model. This isnad structure produces the same level of response for the reliability of the relevant narration to belong to the source which it is attributed against the level of the reliability of narrator at an average level, whereas the intensity of the response becomes stronger and more distinctive on the same direction in line with the intensity of increases or decreases in reliability of narrators. As it can be clearly seen that the curve indicating the probability that the narration belongs to the source which it is attributed extends below the straight line indicating the reliability coefficient of narrators on the first half of the straight line, whereas it extends above that straight line in a symmetrical manner on the second half. Now, double-stranded originated from a multiple narration combined isnad. It originates from multiple narration, you can see, and then this chain of isnad is double-stranded. How can we understand that it is double-stranded?